This is the Positive EQ Perspective, where you'll find a more positive outlook on life by developing your emotional intelligence. My name is Kirsty Gwynn. I'm a coaching psychologist and speaker, and I'm passionate about helping people to experience more calm, contentment, and joy every day. One of the things that I love most about emotional intelligence is that it's taught me that all emotions have value. You're a human being, so I have no doubt that you, like me, experience things like self-doubt and anxiety, low mood, loss, anger, and every other negative emotion. And when we're deep in those feelings, it can be really hard to find a sense of perspective or to see how there's any value to what we're feeling. So you may understand that on one level, negative emotions are about safety. But I actually want to go a step further than that today. Because I believe that your most difficult feelings have a lot of wisdom within them, and knowing how to unlock that wisdom, it's everything, right? The foundation of emotional intelligence is understanding how you feel and why you feel that way. And that's valuable because then you can take that knowledge and be able to put it to good use. And you can use it to make yourself happier in future, and you can use it to give yourself a better chance of achieving your goals in future. So today we're talking about how to unlock the wisdom in your negative emotions. And the first way that we can do this is to ask yourself what the feeling shows you want. Your negative feelings often contain useful information about what you want. And this is especially true when it comes to emotions like fear or anxiety. If you're afraid of being rejected, consider that that's actually just the other side of wanting to belong. And if I have a lot of fear around failing in a certain area, I know that it would mean a lot to me if I were to succeed, and that would probably make me really happy. Pursuing a career in emotional intelligence and starting my own coaching business honestly often has me terrified more than anything I've ever done. It often leads me to use many of the techniques that I teach to calm myself down, because some of the things feel so far out of my comfort zone, right? That it's often really uncomfortable. It's often really uncomfortable. I have to challenge anxiety a lot of the time. But I understand that that fear is only there, and it only comes up because I really, really want this, right? It tends to come up if I do anything creative, or I try anything new, or I go after a goal that is actually really important to me and that I really, really want. And it's so valuable for me to understand that that's why that's coming up. In many cases, fear or anxiety shows us what we're afraid to lose, and therefore what we actually want. And when you understand that, what's valuable is that you'll be more likely to actually keep yourself on track, even when the goal feels scary. Right? If you think, well, I'm anxious and that means I should just keep away from it, just checking in, is this actually the other side of some hope that I really have, a deep hope within me? And that can often give us the courage that we need to keep pursuing that goal, even when it's bringing up feelings of fear or anxiety or self-doubt. The second way that we can unlock the wisdom in our negative emotions is to consider what expectation the feeling is reflecting. So this is an especially useful one when you're feeling angry, right? Whether it is that you're angry with someone else, or if it's that you're angry or frustrated or irritated with yourself, right? So for other, in a relational sense, but also in terms of how we relate to ourselves and feel about our own behavior. Underneath anger, there is always an expectation. We believe that things should have gone a certain way, right? Or someone should have done something, or we should have done something or dealt with something a certain way. So asking yourself, like, how did you think things should have been? Identifying this expectation will then either help you to communicate your feelings better, right? So to understand them, to communicate them, or it might naturally unlock a little bit more compassion, whether that's for other people or for yourself. So for example, if I notice that I'm angry and I get curious and I understand that I feel, let's say that someone should have let me know that they weren't going to call when they said they would, I can communicate that, right? I can say to them, oh, I understand that something came up and I would appreciate you letting me know in future, right? So just listening to that anger and saying, well, what expectation is here helps me to have a better interaction next time and to just clearly and calmly communicate my feelings. At other times, I'll check in with my expectation and realize that actually it's not so rational, right? So for example, maybe I'll find myself saying, they should just know how I feel, right? That's the should that's there. And then I'll realize that that's probably not a very reasonable expectation because nobody can read my mind, just how I can't read anyone else's mind. Once I found myself checking in with an expectation when someone wasn't there for me. And so I got curious about my expectation. And then the expectation that came up was, well, they should have just known that I needed them, right? They should have just known. And then I realized, that actually this person had asked me if they could do anything or if I needed anything. And I said, no, I'm fine, right? And just realizing that, made me feel better. And it also changed my behavior in future because I now choose to be more honest and more vulnerable in those interactions and to be able to say, actually, I do need support or I will need support with this. If I check in with my expectation and I'm angry with myself, I might find that I have this expectation of, well, I should never fail or I should never make a mistake. And if that one comes up, I can't help but realize that, hey, I'm a human being, and that's a very extreme expectation. It's probably, no, it's definitely unrealistic for me to live up to that one. And that's going to naturally make me be softer and gentler with myself and to show myself a little more self-compassion. Finally, the third way that we can unlock wisdom in our negative emotions, and this is also one that I would say is one of my favorite, is to listen to what the feeling is telling you is important to you. So your negative emotions occur when there's a disconnect between what's important to you and your experience. So they can really be a sign of your values. They can be a sign of what matters to you as a person. For example, I always seem to get really angry if I see someone being treated unfairly or in a prejudiced way. And it just I just get so mad about it. I get really riled up about it. And that tells me that I'm the kind of person who really, really values fairness. Right? So I'm then able to identify that one of my core values is being fair. Sadness shows me, what I'd like to hold close. Right? And so, because I've lost something that was important to me. And though I may learn that lesson when I've already lost the thing that is important to me, sadness guides me to be more appreciative of similar things in future. When I first moved to the UK, I spent months feeling sad and guilty about how disconnected I felt from my family back home. And I would hear myself say over and over, sometimes to other people, but also just within my, to myself, like, I really should keep in touch more. I really should keep in touch more. Or I feel really bad that, I'm sorry I haven't kept more in touch, or I feel really bad that I haven't. I was really missing my family, and I felt sad about it, and I felt bad about it. But I'm embarrassed to say that for almost a year, when that discomfort came up, I just kind of shied away from those feelings. And I think hopefully maybe someone here can relate. I never really looked at those feelings close enough to consider, what are they trying to tell me is important to me? And it meant that for months and months, I went on feeling sad and disconnected, and I kept carrying around that guilt about not keeping in touch. And I kind of think about those feelings now, desperately trying to get my attention, going like, hello, are you even listening? Right? We're trying to communicate with you. And when I finally stopped and paid attention to what they had to say, what I discovered is I value being close to my family, or I value maintaining close relationships with my family. it's important to me to keep in touch. And I want to be the kind of person who picks up the phone more regularly. And literally just acknowledging that meant that overnight, pretty much everything changed. I'll never forget what one of my friends said the first time that I called out of the blue. She was kind of chatting to me, and then she like paused and went, is everything okay? You always arrange a call. You never just call me, right? And I felt really shocked that she was shocked. But there was that message again, right? It's important to me to call. So I kept calling. And these days I chat to my family regularly, and I try to make spontaneous calls a regular thing. If I have 10 minutes to spare, just picking up the phone. And then I'm proud to say that I feel a lot closer with everyone back home, even though I'm far away. And today I feel really, really grateful for those feelings of guilt, because it actually led me to feel much more connected, and that made me a lot happier. You see, the point of negative emotions is actually quite positive, and that's what emotional intelligence helps us to realize. Negative emotions attempt to reorient you to prioritize the things that are important to you, to what you want. And sometimes they invite you to change your behavior so that it's more aligned to your values. And in that way, they set you up to be happier going forward. Well, that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Every subscriber counts, and it helps this information to reach more people. Thank you, and I'll see you next week on the Positive EQ Perspective. If you're looking to calm negative thoughts, accept yourself, and live joyfully, then you need my free roadmap to overcome negative thinking. You'll discover 7 steps to follow, as well as 3 mistakes most people make trying to improve their mindset and life that only make things worse. Visit positiveeq.com/free. That's positiveeq.com/free.